Opinionated and now caffeinated. Wake Up Warchant is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed, Courtney, and their son, Brett, DeLuna Coffee is Florida State through and through. The pursuit of the perfect blend of coffee beans is a 365-day effort for the family, but they'll always find time to tailgate for their Noles in the autumn. Stand at attention for their red, white, and brew. In honor of armed forces, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, DeLuna has created this fair trade organic blend. Enjoy this premium French roast coffee and salute to the good old USA. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. You know that promo code. Maybe you don't. It's WarChant15. Use it. You know the other one for WarChant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. That one is WarChant30. Use it. Join the family. Thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube, on your Apple iOS device. Go to the podcast store, whatever it's called now these days, Corey, and leave us a 5-star review and just say something great about what Corey brings to the table. Here he is without a table. It's a laptop in his lap. It's Corey Clark, everybody. What's up, Corey?
What's up with you, buddy? You didn't ask me, but I'm doing okay.
Oh,
I'm doing
I
all right.
screwed it up. I screwed the look at that.
It's
Streak's
fine.
over.
Nothing's
The
up.
streak is over.
Not much, man. What's up with you?
Dude, I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right to it. I almost feel like we waited
Okay.
too long. It's my fault. I had to make dinner. Had to do a recruiting video. Sam McCall, top 50 recruit in the nation, committed to Florida State. Maybe we'll dabble in that a little bit later. But our guy Corey Clark didn't even put it on his time card. Went out to Hauser on Sunday. I want to talk about baseball from the jump, just because it was a really frustrating series. They got swept by Pitt. This is Florida State we're talking about. Pitt, yes, University of Pittsburgh. I don't want to panic. I think like 40 years of goodwill gets you that. Now, granted, it all wasn't him. It was his father. I still like Mike Martin Jr. I'm not on the whole nepotism sort of kick that everybody is on social media right now. What do we take away from this past weekend, Corey? I'm not happy, obviously, but I'm not panicking. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the middle there. Like, well, I'm not. Nobody would be happy with what they saw this weekend, but what lends me to a little bit more panic than normal would be just I don't know what they're going to do at the bottom of their lineup. Like, I think they got 3 guys that can hit, 4 probably if you count Nelson, and Tyler Martin. So I like your first 5, okay. But DeSadas, I'm not sure about him long term. He's never been a great college hitter. Like Albert and Robbie Martin have proven to be impact bats. Cabell, we think, has all the potential in the world. But Albert and Martin have proven to be quality college hitters, and they're just not. I mean, it's 6 games, but they're just not doing it right now. Robbie Martin looks lost. He's striking out a ton, which isn't something he normally does. He just looks bumfuzzled up there. So you got to assume that'll change. You got to assume Reese Albert will get better. And Cabell had a nice weekend, at least a nice last couple games, and hit a ball to the moon. Didn't end up mattering. They still lost. But, it's just that one on Sunday was a tough one because you're up 7-3. You feel like, okay, Mike Bell's kind of giving Florida State this one. Like he's throwing his arms and aren't very good in the bullpen. The guys are walking 2 guys an inning, but Florida State can't get the big hit ever. They had the whole series. They had 1 2-out RBI, and it was a bases loaded walk. That was it. Pitt, meanwhile, had 10 2-out RBIs. That's the difference in the series, and that's what I wrote about after the game. Is like, and I know we won't get hung up too much on baseball in early March, but Pitt had 23 hits. Florida State had 20. Pitt struck out 44 times. Florida State struck out 47. The hits and the strikeouts were about even. But Pitt had 12 extra base hits. Florida State only had 6. And Pitt had 10 2-out RBIs. Florida State had 1.
They played.
For me lies the difference.
Too. They played pretty clean too, I think, until Sunday. They didn't have an error.
Yeah,
until
and
Sunday.
Florida State played clean on Sunday. Like Florida State didn't commit an error. I think they walked 12 times, got hit 3 other pitches, but they left 17 men on base. I don't know that we can assume that just for the rest of the season, Florida State won't be able to get a big hit. But they didn't this weekend at all. They had multiple opportunities on Friday night and a 1-0 loss. At least Parker Messick looked good again, looked like the guy they thought he was going to be. And then, of course, because it's Florida State early in the season, Carson Montgomery looked bad. You know, they can't all match right now. It's like the Friday. You got Kool-Aid and no sugar. You got peanut butter, no jelly. Like, nothing matches up right now where it's all working together. But I think it could. I mean, I think you really liked what you saw out of Davis Hare, Bryce Hubbard. I can't remember the lefties kid that came in on Saturday, but he pitched well. I thought the bullpen overall pitched really well. They got a little bit unlucky with some bloop hits. And then, you know, not that it's probably too early to go ahead and say that it's a mistake, but I don't get Chase Haney being the closer. You've got 12 guys that throw low 90s to mid 90s on your team. You've got some electric arms in the bullpen. I just don't know that you go with the side-arming righty as your closer when you got those kind of options. I think he's more of a set-up matchup guy. And I thought that you can attest. I was texting you that before he gave up the 2-run homer to tie the game.
I'm telling you, folks, it's the best part of my job. Don't listen to this, Gene. I would do it for free. It's just being able to have live commentary from Corey Clark. You know how they're going to start charging people maybe content, or they're going to charge to look at people's tweets? Dude, you would make a killing during the football season. I would pay $10 to read your tweets during football games. Because, yeah, you were calling it all out as it was happening, before it was happening on Sunday with the baseball game. I don't want to give you too big of a head here, but it was, sure. Yeah, man, it's why I'll keep this job for a while. I just like being able to be on text messages with you.
Oh, yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, so I don't quite grasp that one with all the options they have. And Chase Haney has a role. Like, he's not somebody that shouldn't pitch. I just don't know with a 2-run lead in the ninth, and you're going to be facing at least a couple left-handed hitters. Now, he gave up a home run to the righty, but a couple left-handed hitters that you want him pitching in that spot. I think he's a guy that can come in that can get a couple righties out, maybe give you a 7th inning when you're down by a couple runs and keep you in the game. That doesn't seem like maybe his specialty, but we'll see. It could have just been one rough outing, and they'll run him right back out there. But, it's weird. Davis Hare was really good. He struck out like 7 and 2 2/3. The kid that came, like I said, Hubbard was really good until the end when he gave up a double with 2 outs, hit a guy, and then gave up the game-winning double, right, like in 5 pitches.
I know.
I thought that was interesting, too, what Meat said afterwards about, he thought Hubbard pitched really well, but he's like, he also learned a lesson there. Like, he shook off the call from the dugout about what pitch to throw. And he's like, we're in a nice rhythm. We had a nice rhythm going, and then he shakes off Jimmy, which is Jimmy Bellinger, the pitching coach, and gives up a double to the fence, and then hits a guy, and then gives up a double, and we lose the game. Like, why? If you're in a rhythm, why are you going against what the coach wants you to do? I think just stuff like that. It's a young team. I do think they're not as bad as they looked, but man, they got to start hitting the ball.
Bad matchup too. Mike Bell knows that lineup. He knows Mike Martin, and listen, Mike Martin knows him. So maybe his hitter should have been a little bit better prepared for what was being thrown at them. But bad matchup, and I know last year it wasn't even a complete season. It wasn't even a quarter of a season. But it's just crazy. Everybody's like, oh, the nepotism thing is already biting us in the butt. It's terrible. They should never hired him. And 13-5 last year. They started out okay. This is not his first. These aren't the first 6 games of Mike Martin's coaching career. We saw what they were starting off with last year. So it could be one of those things where maybe just a little bit of a weird getting ready for this season. And again, I think it was a bad matchup. They hadn't played any games at night, if you want to blame that maybe for going cold on Friday night, their first game under the lights. And it's a bad matchup, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not panicking yet. Not happy, though. Definitely not happy. It doesn't look – I don't think we're going to host a regional at this pace. But, again, it's March 1st, so –
they're not going to be in a regional at this. They're not going to be in a regional at this pace. But you do think. You do think they'll. I mean, I just think they have the potential to have a decent year. The hitting has to get much better for them to compete of anything of note. I just don't know that they have the lineup 1 through 9. Even their good hitters aren't like special hitters.
You're right.
And a lot of these colleges have 2 or 3 dudes. The ones that are competing for national championships have special bats. And I don't know that you could say Robbie Martin and Reese Albert are that, but they're good college hitters, and they're certainly better than they've shown to be. But yeah, look, I got that all weekend really. Every time I tweeted about baseball, it's the new fire ham. It's nepotism. Yeah. Just people just tweeting the word nepotism to me, as if I made the hire number 1, or if you make that kind of number one, Mike Martin didn't make the hire. So if you want to say nepotism, yeah, you could claim nepotism for when he hired his son on the staff 30 years ago, or 25 years ago. But now I think that was David Coburn. So, I mean, you can claim nepotism if you want. Mike Martin Sr. isn't the AD. He didn't make the hire. And then also, yeah, we're 6 games into this season. I don't know what would be much different about this team if 11 was still the coach. You know what I mean? Like, did Mike Martin Jr. bring on players that Mike Martin Sr. would have said no way to? I mean, Mike Martin Jr. was running recruiting.
It's some good cop, bad cop stuff, though,
for the last 10 years.
There is some good cop, bad cop
for
stuff
sure.
Going on, man. And
I agree with that. Yeah,
I wasn't going to ask him this because it's way too early. But if they continue to struggle late into March, I wonder if he'll maybe just go into the dugout and not be at third base. He's around these guys all the time. You know, they're out in the field. He's out there telling them where to shift and where to go. They're at the plate. He's at third base, coaching them. So maybe that's the whole thing. It's you knew if you had a bad at bat, at least you could grab your glove and go back into the field and you could kind of block it out. But man, it's no. I mean, he's going to be in there waiting for you if you're not going to be, meeting his expectations and his standards. And it's, again, I'm not panicking though. It's 6 games.
So is that the equivalent of the football coach that gives up plays? Would that be the baseball coach that gives up coaching third?
No, it's like moving your defensive coordinator up to the box. He's going to see better up there.
Gotcha. Get you a better angle. Yeah, Mike Bell wasn't coaching third, and he went undefeated in Hauser this year.
Yeah, they had walkie-talkies, man. It was that's the thing. I think he was looking at his pitch charts, and he was walking in the signs to whoever was calling him into the pitcher. So
yeah, and Meade's got to be out there wondering about where the right fielder's positioned in case he has to send a runner home. Yeah, it's like Jimbo looking at his play sheet.
And it was Jack Anderson, I think, give some shout-out. Saturday he came in and I think pitched fairly well. I think that's what you might have been talking about. I could be wrong. Maybe it was – I don't know. I take it back.
No, it wasn't Jack Anderson. It was a lefty. It was
Crowell?
I'll look up his name in a little bit.
Crowell then.
Yeah, Wyatt Crowell.
There we go. All right.
He's got something to him too. So they got dudes, man. They got dudes down there. Montgomery's good. He just couldn't throw strikes in the second inning that game, and Meade was tired of looking at it. But overall, they have the arms. They're not going to pitch a bunch of shutouts because they're young, and people don't do that. But man, the offense has got to get better. I mean, I know Pitt struck out 44 times. Well, Pitt wasn't facing Florida State staff. I mean, Pitt was facing Florida State staff. Florida State wasn't facing Florida State staff. Pitt, every pitcher they threw set a career high in strikeouts.
Do you kind of wonder? I mean, last thing, at least for me, and then we'll go to. We got basketball to talk about. We also got David Johnson, running backs coach. And recruiting coordinator coming up here later on in the program. But I just totally lost my train of thought, which is everybody probably good, stop talking about baseball.
Finally, yeah, that train was running off the tracks anyway, I'm sure.
All right, fine.
Shannon texted me on while I was at the game on Sunday and was like, you asked Aslan for his opinion and then immediately cut him off. And I didn't know what she was referring to. It might have been the live show maybe. And I'm like, well, nobody wants to hear Aslan's opinion anyway. And she's like, I'm not sure anybody voted for that to be true. So I think you do have fans out there,
Thanks,
Aslan.
Shannon.
Probably as many as I do.
Keep fighting.
Shannon's got your back for
Keep
sure.
fighting the good fight, Shannon. Appreciate you. Oh, shout out to the other lady in your life now for winning her doubles match with our own Irish O'Fell. Let's go. And you were there to coach him up.
Great match. They started off terribly. I think they were down 4-1 maybe in the first set and just looked – you know what they did, Aslan? They looked tentative. Just let's get it. But like Meat was talking about with those swings on Sunday, let's just make contact. Let's not hit with any authority. Let's just get it over the net, and hopefully they'll make an error. But I tell you, about midway through that first set, they just turned it on. Stephanie played as well as she's ever played. She dominated. Ira was running around. Ira, running around. Mate. You wouldn't think it, folks, by looking at Ira. But he's like Michael Chang. He's Andre Agassi's Djokovic out there running down shots left and right. And they just played really well. I think they won 6-4, 6-3.
Let's
something
go.
like that. But yeah, it was a nice match, man. They played well. I was proud of them. And I drank a couple beers and watched from the sidelines.
Nice. All right, let's talk a little football. How about them Bison? Down goes North Dakota State, Corey. The Saluki, Southern Illinois, takes them down. That was kind of cool, I guess. Also saw Sunday that Eric Gilbert, that 5-star super duper, I guess maybe you could say, tight end who was at LSU, true freshman, transferred out, committed to Florida, apparently has now decommitted from Florida. So no telling where he's going to go. I know Florida State's got one
Probably
scholarship
not Florida.
left. Yeah,
It's probably not going to be Florida, it wouldn't appear.
Florida State still does have like one signing left. They got one left in the chamber. But, they're still probably holding out for an offensive tackle, which that's cool. I think Clemson lost the guy. They lost a defensive back. That was a 5-star dude.
Not just a 5-star. I think he was like first-team All-ACC.
Yeah. Well, figure it out,
I think he was
Dabo.
like a big-time player. They lost him. Florida lost Gilbert. And the best part about the Gilbert thing, the tight end from LSU, is he's like, I'm not going to say where I'm going until I'm enrolled and on campus. Which is like, sweet, man. Was he just going to take a picture in like, some science lab?
The registrar's office?
In Tuscaloosa?
Yeah. Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
I mean, where,
Well, yeah, better than
maybe
Miami.
he'll go like, maybe. Yeah, hey, who knows? Could be. Or it could be Florida State, man. They got Mackenzie Milton. I don't know if you've heard.
I know. There was a video Josh Storms posted. I didn't see the video. I don't know how Instagram works out, man. Instagram has no identity. Instagram has just stolen everything from everybody else. I think they have some sort of like Snapchat-like feature where a video will disappear after a certain amount of time. But apparently I didn't see it, so I can't confirm the amount of iron that was on the bar. But Mackenzie Milton was squatting, I think 2 reps, 275, no brace on his leg. That's good. That's really good, man. It's really good. I'm not gonna nitpick at all at that. So that's great. And again, while Florida and Clemson lose guys that probably are going to help them out in 2021, Florida State added another commitment to their 2022 class, which I really should. I'll pull this up after I stop talking about the kid for a second and let you go for a minute, Corey. They picked up a commitment from Sam McCall. This is a guy who actually was committed to Florida for about 3 months. 6'3", 189. And there's a video of him up on our YouTube page. Check it out. Michael Langston breaks it down, Corey, and says that he probably is going to start at cornerback. Or start off, rather, at cornerback. He can play probably everywhere, safety, nickel, and corner. 6'3", 189, Corey. He is ranked 37th in the nation, 6.0 rating. I mean, he's on the cusp of 5-star status. This is getting crazy. Like, truly. They've got Travis Hunter, one of the most dynamic guys in the entire country. They got Sam McCall. He is the number 5 overall prospect in the state of Florida. Quincy McAdoo, the Hester kid, Aaron Hester, who's a legacy. A good build on him, too. They added a 2024 kid over the weekend, too. I cannot imagine how frustrating it must be right now if you're a Miami or Florida fan and see the way that Florida State's recruiting after the season they came off of, which if you're a Florida State fan should be absolutely delightful right now.
Yeah, that's it's always good too when you take somebody from Florida, right? Like he was a Florida commit.
Yes.
Like you said, for a while, 6'3", that seems like a big corner.
That is.
But hey, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but that's
isn't that crazy?
That would be really, really impressive.
Isn't that weird how we're at that point now where it's like if you're like 5'10", it's like, oh, you're too small. But if you're 6'3", it's like, oh, you're too big. But like that's prototype because like that was Antonio Cromartie, right? Antonio Cromartie was 6'3", 215, but he was a freakazoid. But most kids, you think, oh man, 6'3", like already like 200 pounds as a 17-year-old, like he's probably gonna have to play safety. But hey, man, good problem to have. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, you ain't lying. That's just another, now you're talking about a class that has, 1 5-star, 3 4-stars, almost a 5-star, and you never know, those things fluctuate, so maybe one of them works into a 5-star. And then remember, man, you still got the legacies out there that are big-time players.
Yep.
And again, it's, I know some people don't believe in momentum when it comes to anything, but there straight up is momentum when it comes to recruiting. And when the players that you're recruiting, like Enzo Ramala's kid, when he sees that, okay, it's not just Travis Hunter, it's this kid too, there is a momentum going. It does matter. I'm telling you it matters. I can promise you, though. I know the quarterback, Nico. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Marquio.
Okay. He tweeted about it as soon as it happened too. Like, let's go. Like, there just becomes a momentum with a class like this, especially I would think, if it holds together, a class that's trying to build something. Like maybe Alabama, all the Alabama recruits do this too, and I don't. Why would I ever follow an Alabama commit on Twitter? But I wouldn't think so. Like, awesome, we're getting together a great class so we can win the 11th national title in the last 15 years for Darth Saban. But I think when it's this kind of class, I do think that stuff on social media matters. I do think they really recruit each other, and they do want to take part and be a part of a turnaround. I do think it matters to them. I think there's a momentum that can come from that and a pretty cool, familial feel to it. When you have, like, they're all a part of the same goal of trying to build this program back to what it was, as opposed to let's just go win some more trophies for Alabama. These guys really seem to embrace the idea of being the class that gets Norvell and gets Florida State back on top.
Also, Nigel Kelly from down in Fort Lauderdale. I want to say St. Thomas Aquinas, but I don't quote me on that. I'm pulling it up right now. It's the internet. Dillard High School, not even close. That's where Raekwon Gray's from, though, I think, right? Dillard High School?
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Our own Ira Schofel was looking at his film and said he's going to be a problem. So, when Ira talks about recruiting, there's somebody with some flash. So that's super encouraging.
But, yeah, that's a big deal. That's a great get for them. Again, I think it's opening some eyes. It's letting people know that, this staff isn't all just about diamonds in the rough. Yeah. They actually want to just go actually find diamonds in the diamond mine, too. And they are okay with taking 5-star and 4-star guys, and that's a big deal to start landing dudes in the top 50, top 100 of the United States. And I'm telling you, I think it speaks to the other recruits that are still out there. Marvin Jones's kid, too. They take notice of stuff like this, and it does end up mattering. And we might, like Michael said last week, on the live show, on the happy hour, it might all go back to Mackenzie Milton. Like, Mackenzie Milton might be what started this whole thing. He might have been the first domino. And then it's one of those things you see on YouTube of 7 million dominoes falling, and it lasts for a decade. I don't know. But whatever's happening, it's really good news for Florida State to have these kind of guys in the boat.
Corey, you know that HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in about 30 minutes or less, offering 10 to 20-minute meals, low prep recipes, and quick breakfasts and lunches perfect for your busy schedule. They have over 25 recipes to choose from each week. There's something for everyone to enjoy. All the recipes designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. I can confirm that. You can as well, though, right, Corey? We both have done this. It's a real thing. It's delicious.
It is the real thing. It's real food. It's like restaurant food. It's like restaurant ingredients. That's my biggest problem, Aslan. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to shop for stuff like that. Like, I don't know how to shop for, like, asparagus or onions. Like, when you pick up an onion, are you supposed to smell it? Is it supposed to have a certain texture? But when they send you these vegetables, they're legit vegetables. They're the ones you'd pick out at the store anyway, and they send them to you. So you get to stay at home. And they're real restaurant quality meals.
And again, the recipes, I did the coconut curry chicken, which, again, they teach you how to do these things. So even if you don't re-up every week, you usually have stuff left around the house that you can whip these things up. It's amazing. Go to HelloFresh.com/wakeup12. Use the code WakeUp12. They're giving them 12 free meals, Corey, and free shipping. Wow. Again, it's HelloFresh.com/wakeup12. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
12 straight dinners, huh? That's impressive.
Let's go. All right. I don't want to panic about baseball. I'm not going to panic about basketball. Did anybody panic about basketball? Nobody should panic about basketball. It was a weird weekend. Everybody was losing. Not a big deal. Hey, kind of stung a little bit. You would like to wrap up the ACC #1 seed. And I'm glad I didn't tweet anything. I haven't really tweeted a lot lately. I'm glad I haven't, because most of the things that have been in my mind were things that were better off not being shared with the world. But I remember at halftime, I'm just like, dude, Florida State they're just more grown. They're more grown than North Carolina. They're more talented than North Carolina. This is what happens. They're better. It's amazing to behold. Just enjoy it. Ride this wave. And it's not a wave. Like, it's a sustainable thing they've built here. And then they just come out not looking all that great, and they blow the lead to North Carolina. But again, I'm not panicking. I don't know if there was anything uncovered. Was there a blemish? Was there a weakness that was exposed that you did not know about, Corey, after watching Florida State drop? I think it was 78-70 against North Carolina in the Dean Dome.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem you had with that game, it's not that you lost, because they were the desperate team. North Carolina really needed a win. You didn't necessarily. And, you're already in the tournament, and you're already a relatively high seed in the tournament. But it's that you had the lead and blew it. You know, if you'd have just lost 78-70 and it kind of went back and forth and they pulled away late, but you feel like you blew it, and you blew it so quickly. Like, you had a 16-point lead with like 3 minutes to go in the first half, and then by 15 minutes left in the second half, you're trailing. The Florida State, that's a big run. And so I think when all these games you kind of use just to project ahead when you might face a similar circumstance in the postseason. They had a hard time answering that first initial punch by Carolina in the second half. They really kind of lost their composure, I thought, a little bit, and kind of melted to that to the urgency and the energy that North Carolina was playing with. But I think you use that as a learning tool. Obviously, we know that Florida State, when they play well, can beat anyone. And even when they don't play well, they can win games. And they did come back in that game. They did answer really well after getting down, I think, by 8 or 9. Like with 10 minutes left, they had a chance. You know, Barnes is going in for a dunk to cut it to 1 and gets a block from behind. Gray's shooting a free throw to cut it to 1. He misses, and then they hit a 3 on the other end somehow. And then after Barnes's missed dunk, Carolina gets a dunk of their own. So, you know, it felt like one of those games after that. And that happens. But what I would say, Aslan, and we all love the way that Leonard rotates his players and the way that they play and as hard as they play, and it really doesn't matter who starts. I'll be interested to see if Raekwon Evans keeps playing like this, if he's going to keep taking minutes away from Scotty Barnes. That's my biggest concern moving forward, because Raekwon Evans has been not good really since they came back. He's made 3 baskets in the last 6 games total.
Eesh.
And when he's on the court, so they have a 12-point lead. And what Roy Williams did, his best player in that first half was that Kessler kid, who hasn't been much of a factor for them this year, really. He certainly didn't do anything against Florida State in the first game. Well, he had 8 points at halftime. And I know the Baycott kid had 3 fouls, but he started Kessler in the second half. And Kessler went off and scored like 8 points in the first 4 seconds. He started the kid that was playing well. They took control of the game. Well, what if Leonard, in that instance, up by 12, with a chance to really put the game away? The problem you have, and you wonder how this is going to be in like the round of 32 or a Sweet 16, if you're up by 9 on a 5 seed, are you really going to start the second half? When you have a chance, if you go on a run early in those first 3 minutes, you might put the game away. You might be up 17 and it's a wrap. Are you going to start Raekwon Evans and Wyatt Wilkes over Scotty Barnes and Light? You know, that's because, look, I added it up. Those 2 guys at the start of those halves before they came out, I think they played 9 possessions. It was about 6 minutes of real game time. They didn't hit a basket when they were on the floor. And I'm not talking about them in particular. I'm talking about the team. They got outscored 9-1 with that starting 5 on the floor. And, you know, I know they only got outscored by 8 points. You only scored 1 point with that starting 5 starting the half. And so you remember, you know, Barnes came in when it was 5-1, and he immediately scores 2 baskets in a row to tie it up. But that's what I wonder, if Raekwon's a nice player. He's a pretty good player. He's not Scotty Barnes. He played 17 minutes. Scotty Barnes played 22 minutes. You know, I just don't know that when you're playing with your season on the line that you want Raekwon Evans playing almost as many minutes as Scotty Barnes. I just don't think you can do it. So that's the one thing I kind of took away from it, is are they going to change the way they start? And they probably won't. I mean, look, man, it's just what they do. Scotty's going to be the 3rd straight player drafted in the first round that was a 6th man. Okay, that's Florida State's thing. That's fine. But I think, and usually they win because of it. I'll be honest, usually they win because they just have so much depth and they come at you in waves. And so it's almost nitpicky to now, attack it. And I'm not really attacking it, but to criticize it, when usually it's that second stretch of the second half is when they take over games because they are fresher. And Scotty Barnes is in the game. And they've held water. They've treaded water with Wilkes and Evans. But they just didn't tread water against North Carolina. They were really bad, the starting 5. And so that's, to me, you know, you start that second half, Raekwon Evans has 2 turnovers and a missed shot on the first 4 possessions. And he gets pulled from the game. Scotty Barnes comes in. The run still continues, but the tone had been set. And I just don't know if you want the tone being set by guys that are number 9 and number 10 in your rotation, but they're starting. That's all, though. That's nitpicky. It's working. They're 14-4. But when we talk about projections and what this team might do in the postseason, that's one thing I wonder if they'll readdress when they get into the postseason, is, okay, are we going to continue? If we have an 11-point lead, Scotty's played really well. He just had to sit the last 6 minutes of the first half because he had 2 fouls. Are we going to let him start the second half because we have a chance to put this game out of reach? If we go on a 9-2 run to start this second half, we're up by 20 points and the game's over. But as it was, Carolina went on like a 13-3 run, and then it was back and forth, and they ended up losing the game.
Is there anything different though about Scotty versus Patrick and Fiondu to where maybe it would make sense to start thinking about, I guess to your point, either getting him involved earlier or maybe actually letting him start? I mean, I was trying to think in my head here. I'm like, this seems like they at least got, they ramped up Cabangeli to have him start at least when they made it to the tournament. No, he didn't. And then last year, Patrick Williams played in 29 games. He did not start one. I mean, I feel like, I don't know.
I think
he can create, he can carry the ball, he can carry your offense. Like, doesn't that make him a little bit different than like Fiondu and his energy, and I guess a little bit different than Patrick, to where maybe you could trust him with, I don't know, starting and running the show.
Yeah, and admittedly, I'm being reactionary. Like, they lost the game. They had just won 4 in a row. They'd won 10 out of 11, doing this same thing with with Barnes coming off the bench. It just so happened in that game. Usually, again, like I said, it works for them. In that game, it bit them in the butt. Their starting 5 was terrible together to start both halves, and I think that's where they kind of lost the game. That, and the Kessler kid killed them, and they didn't rebound well. But to me, the biggest difference is when Cabangeli came in, he was replacing usually Kumaji. And when Patrick Williams came in, he was replacing Malik Osborne. Now, Cabangeli and Patrick Williams are better than the 2 guys they were replacing. But the disparity wasn't that vast, I guess. Like, Kumaji could dominate games just with his size and his shot blocking, and he could finish dunks. They weren't completely different players. Man, Scotty Barnes and Raekwon Evans, right now with the Raekwon Evans, the way he's playing, and maybe it's just a little dip, it's a slump. But that, to me, is a much bigger disparity than Patrick Williams, Malik Osborne, than Cabangeli, Kumaji. So I think when Barnes comes off the floor for Raekwon Evans, the way they're both currently playing, you're losing a lot more than when, say, when Cabangeli came off the floor and Kumaji came back in. That's all. But yeah, no. Again, it's more nitpicky than anything else. It's just that was my big takeaway from that game is if he had decided, and again, he hadn't done it all year, and it's worked really well. So it'd have been kind of weird if he had done what I'm saying he could have done. But if he'd have just said, we're going with Barnes and Polite to start this second half, I didn't like the way the first half ended. Carolina went on a 6-2 run to end that half. I want to reestablish control of this game. I want to put our foot on their throat and make sure they know they're not winning. I'm going to play my 5 best players. I'm going to play Raekwon, MJ, Polite, Barnes, and either Osborne or Balsa. And we're going to try to take control of this game right now. Instead, they played Evans and Wilkes, and he had to call a timeout 90 seconds into the half. And that's not the first time he's had to call a timeout really early into a second half. So that's it. But but look,
they're the number 9 team in the nation. That's what we talk about. That's what happened when you're the number 9 team in the nation.
Yeah, well, exactly. And look, and Carolina played well. Yeah. It's not like, Florida State really struggled with turnovers to start that half. And then after that, I thought they played even with them. But Carolina made some plays down the stretch to win the game, and they certainly made their free throws. It was ridiculous. But I just think when you think about this team, I don't know that, say you're and I'm just projecting, man. I'm looking ahead to not even the rest of this regular season, not to Wednesday or Saturday or even the ACC tournament. If Florida State is, say, a 4 seed and they draw Michigan, or they'll probably be Gonzaga. Who are we kidding? They draw Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. And at halftime, they're up 38-33. But the starting 5 they normally use struggled in that first half when they played together. I just think you go, if Barnes and Polite are playing well, I think you start that second half and say, we're riding Scotty Barnes. This might be the last season, the last game we get him. We've got to play him in the second half if he's not in foul trouble. He just changes the game. He just on both ends of the court. He had 6 steals in that game. I don't even think he played that well offensively.
Yeah.
He missed the front end of the 1-on-1. He missed the 3. He missed a couple shots right at the rim, but he still had 12.6 rebounds and 6 steals. He just makes it in 22 minutes. So, I just think moving forward, if Raekwon continues to struggle, you're going to have to tune up those Scotty Barnes. And also, he did get hurt. I should caution with that. Use caveat there that he did get hurt and he came out of the game for 3 or 4 minutes with an ankle. But yeah, moving forward, you're going to want Scotty Barnes to be on the floor for about 32 minutes if you can.
So do you think he was fouled on that breakaway dunk? Like his answer to me, no one's ever going to admit they got. I thought he was admitting he got without admitting he.
Yeah, I did too. Because I gave him the out. I asked him if it was a late in the game. I think they were, like I said, they were down by 3. They got a steal. Evans kicked it ahead to Barnes for what was a normal looking Barnes dunk, and instead it went straight off the backboard. And he didn't. The thing that makes me think that he was telling the truth is that he didn't complain a ton. In the Florida State bench that had a really good view of it, they didn't explode. Like
and
usually
he's not
when it's
shy
a terrible,
either. I think he's a guy that would get a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. He might get a technical if he got really hammered. And if you watch the Florida State bench, and I haven't seen the replay, but I remember watching it live, thinking, well, that wasn't much of a reaction. Yeah. If he would have gotten hammered and we didn't see it, and they saw it, they would have all jumped up and thrown their arms in the air, and they kind of didn't do that. So I think maybe it was just a great play by that kid. But I would imagine that'll probably be the last time he gets a dunk block from behind in a Florida State uniform.
Florida State back in action.
But yeah,
Wednesday.
it was a.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, they play Wednesday against Boston College. I think the reason that it was a disappointing loss is because if they win that game, then they're obviously all they got to do is win one of the next 2 to wrap up the ACC regular season title, number 1 seed in the tournament, whatever you deem the regular season title to mean in a season like this. But the biggest thing is they had a lead and they were playing well and they had a chance to step on Carolina's throat and end it. And they've done a very good job of that usually this year. I believe that's got to be like the 9th time they've had a lead of 15 points or more against a team in a game. And they just didn't do it. They kind of let North Carolina get back into it at the end of the second half. And then obviously the Kessler kid just went crazy to start in the first half. And then the Kessler kid went crazy to start the second half. But it's a loss, man. Yeah, it happens in basketball.
It's March. There
you go.
All right, coming up next.
Pennzoil. Works like liquid ball bearings. And by Papa John's.
All right, let's take the David Johnson interview. Corey and I sat down with the running backs coach and recruiting coordinator of your Florida State Seminoles on Thursday or Friday.
What do you think? You think people are going to like this new, at least an interview or 2 a week? I think I like it because, number one, we're incredible at it, as you'll see. You saw with Tyler Martin, and you're going to see again with this interview. But also it gives us something new to talk about, something new to discuss. And the beauty of it is, if you say don't want to hear us yammer on for 35 minutes, you can just fast forward straight to the interview. Absolutely. Or if you're like, you know what, I don't care what the running back coach at Florida State has to say. Who is he? I just want to hear these 2 guys talk. Then you can just skip it and not listen to it. But you should listen to it because he's really good. And we talk about he coached Leonard Fournette as an 8th grader, which was insane to think about. So he's got some funny stories about that and just the team in general. So you should listen to it.
Live show Tuesday evening. We'll post a time later on. We'll do Renegade Express, and we'll have 3 more shows for you this week, most likely. We're ramping up. It's almost spring football, so we're working for you. Interview with David Johnson coming up right after this.
So I know obviously this is a Florida State centric podcast. It's called Wake Up Warchant, but I want to know what it was like to coach Leonard Fournette in high school.
It was a joy. He was a kid full of enthusiasm. Really,
did you know about it? When did you first know about him? When did you hear his name?
I grew up with his dad. I've been knowing about him for a while. This kid's been a superstar probably since he was 7 years old.
Right.
You know, he's been big. He's been a big time player in the city. And actually, when I got there, he was in the 8th grade. I got a chance to coach him in the 8th grade, and he wasn't allowed to play in the playgrounds in the 8th grade. So he had to play on my freshman team my first year. So I put him in a freshman game. He dominated at the defensive line, had all kinds of sacks, all kinds of touchdowns. And when I got back to school, I mean, the principal really went off on me about the school we just played, said, there's no way I should have been playing the senior. And I tried to explain to the principal. I said, Father, I wasn't playing the senior. I said, it was Leonard. Yeah, oh, that was Leonard playing? I said, yeah, you had to call him back, let him know he's not even in the 9th grade. He's only in the 8th grade.
I can't even imagine like him growing up in little league and rec leagues. Like, did he have to have his birth certificate like taped to his chest? Like, I mean, I can't imagine my 12-year-old trying to tackle that guy. I'd be like, what are we doing here? But so you knew about him way back when. Did you know? I mean, can you tell? You've been around sports your whole life. Can you tell a kid in the 7th or 8th grade, man, that kid is going to be something special one day? Can you know that early?
Well, obviously, you knew he was good, but his first 3 games for me as a 9th grader, he rushed for 1,000 yards, and I never gave him the ball over 15 times.
Okay. All right, so that's good. It made you look like a great coach. Good job.
That's what I said. He made my cone drills work. The very first game, he rushed for over 300 yards. My 2-minute offense was ISO, and we didn't even block the linebacker. They just couldn't tackle.
You're telling all the other running backs, like, man, y'all got to run more like Leonard. Why are you huge and really fast? Run like him. So I wanted to ask you about a running backs coach in today's just in football in general. You know, obviously you can't teach some of the things that a guy like Leonard Fournette has or a guy like Toafili has, just the wiggle and the space and what he can do in space. So what is the main job when you're out there at practice? What are you trying to hammer home for them? Because a lot of it is God-given. So what is a running back coach's job in regards to a running back?
Trying to train their eyes. Their footwork is really big. My biggest thing is obviously ball security. Some things that people overlook. You know, you have to have the ball security aspect of it, but really their eye progression, the things that they're looking for, pre-snap reading, different things like that. And you allow those kids to go out and be successful. And like you say, certain things are just God-given.
How do you know, though, when you're recruiting a kid? How do you just differentiate? Because there's a lot of really good running backs out there. What are you looking for specifically when you're recruiting a running back that says, okay, he's a take, he's a guy that we have to have?
Very first thing I'm looking for footwork and vision. I'm really looking for vision. I know a lot of times people look for speed and wonder what the guy track time is, but obviously when you look at a football game, after the kid third step in the backfield, he's making some type of cut. He's not in the track. He's not running straight. So he's making some type of cut off of somebody. So he has to have vision. That's one of the biggest things. He has to have short area quickness. In our offense, we definitely look for guys with ball skills. So we throw the ball to our backs a lot. So I'm looking for all those intangible things and things that they can do, and really tough guys. I'm really looking for some really tough running backs who just don't take the easy road out, kind of running out of bounds.
Coach, you've poured over hours and hours upon hours of game film. Who has the best tape you've ever seen?
LT film was really good. Now he was special, and obviously, getting a chance to coach Leonard and watching him play was really special. Warwick Dunn, I can remember him coming out of high school, was just electric. I mean, he was a guy who can just kind of take it, take the as soon as the ball was in his hand, it was unbelievable.
Where were you I guess that would have been 1992, 93. Where were you? Were you coaching in New Orleans at the time?
No, I was in college at the time. I was at Nicholls State during that time. I came out of Nicholls State in 1995, but I remember those guys coming up, being a big part of Florida State. But I was at Nicholls State. I didn't start coaching. I started coaching in 98.
Okay, gotcha. So did you see Warwick Dunn at all in high school, or did you see him just when he got to Florida State?
Yeah, I seen him. I seen him in high school. I mean, I'm from New Orleans, so I got a chance to watch those kids come out of Baton Rouge. And obviously, with the story with his mom was really big, so they would play the highlights all the time and different things like that. And, during that time, you have Warwick Dunn and Ed Reed and all those guys just start to come out of Louisiana being big-time players.
And, like Travis Minor, too, was in that crew.
Yes.
I think he went to the same school as Warwick Dunn, right?
Yes.
And the thing with Warwick Dunn that some people, I'm sure, remember, he didn't really play a lot of running back in high school. He was a quarterback and a DB.
Yes.
And then he got to Florida State, and they weren't sure where they were going to put him. I'm sure if they would have asked David Johnson, who was still a young guy at that time, where should Warwick Dunn play, you would have had an answer for him, huh?
Running back.
Smart.
Coach, I know for you guys in your business and your industry, it's who you know, it's networking, it's going to the AFCA convention and shaking hands and making friends. But, when's the last time you had to put a suit and a tie on and go, audition for a job or have an actual like real interview? Have you had to do that ever?
Yeah, my very first real job out of college, I was worked at Foot Locker. I was a manager at Foot Locker on Canal Street, New Orleans. I was really nervous. That was like the ultimate thing, having those stripes on. Putting that one foot on the bench and watching the people come in and beg for Jordan. So that was, I was the ultimate for me.
That's a good job as a young guy too.
Yes, I
Yeah.
loved it.
And so what was your first college coaching? What was your first coaching job?
My first coaching job was in 1998. I went back to my former high school, John F. Kennedy. Actually, I was working at Foot Locker, and my former high school coach told me he had a really good player, and he wanted me to come help him with this player. I quit my job, just all on emotions, quit my job, went to go help him coach, and I helped him 1 year. He actually got fired that same year, but the kid, Devin Lewis, wound up playing in NFL. He went on to college, but I got out of coaching after that. And I went back to high school with Frank Wilson in 2001, because Jabbar Jaluk, the running back coach at ULL, we were teaching middle school together. And he got me back into coaching in 2001. And ever since 2001, I never left it.
So I'm asking this because when my first job where I was a sports writer, I made $320 a week. Now, again, I'm not rich now, but I certainly wasn't rich then. What was your stipend for coaching your first coaching job? Do you remember?
Well, my first, probably $500, $600 for the entire year. That was our stipend, because we were assistant coaches, and you really made your money if you were a certified teacher or you were teaching in the school. The coaching part, in Louisiana, you don't make any money unless you're the head coach. Really make any money coaching is, the stipend is just something assistants get.
And your first college job was where?
My first college job was at Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi.
I can't imagine you were making it rain with your paycheck from Millsaps either, right?
$500 a month.
I think that to me is what's cool about your rise and a lot of people's rise in this profession is we see the money now, and we see how much the people at Florida State make or the people at these big schools make. But you're making jack squat at Millsaps College. You're making jack squat as a middle school coach or a high school coach. So it really is the love for it, right? That's what got you into it?
Yes. And at the time, even when I was a high school coach in New Orleans and in between the time when I got out of it, I was still helping a lot of kids in the city. I would go to these playgrounds and see these kids running around, and I would just help train them and try to help whatever they were trying to do at the time, because I just love to see kids get to the next level.
Coach, was there anybody you worked with or looked up to, or was there anybody that you knew that had gotten a on-field Division I job and you either looked at them and thought, hey, I can do this, or you're like, oh, how the heck did they get it? If they got that job, then I can do it. I mean, was there anybody out there that kind of helped make the dream of being a coach on the field a reality for you?
I think the biggest thing during that time, Frank Wilson had just got to Ole Miss. And he would just help me out all the time, just tell me to stay focused on what I was doing. So when I would work all these camps, I would go to all the camps throughout the country to kind of work. And so people could see me work and do whatever I needed to do. And I would have guys to kind of encourage me and say, hey, one day you'll get an opportunity. Just make sure you're prepared when you get that opportunity. Do
you remember your first in-home visit as a coach?
Yes.
Who was it? Is there a good story behind it?
It was Millsaps College. It was Mason Burrell. Me and Mason still talk to this day. I was really nervous. We didn't offer any scholarships. It was all need-based. At that time, in 2005, it was $32,000 to go to Millsaps College. And I was trying to convince his mom that this was the place for him to go, for her to take out $15,000 in loans a semester, So, Mason wound up coming. He was my first recruit, and it was a blessing, but I was really nervous, not sure exactly how that worked.
I was going to say, man, I imagine, not that you've gotten to make any in-home visits here for over a year, but the in-home visits where you're wearing that on your logo, you're wearing that logo on your jersey, or Tennessee, even for that matter, you're probably not having to talk to parents about taking out loans. It's a whole different sales job. So, how comfortable did you get with that? Just when you went from Millsaps to like Tulane or Memphis, what were those in-home visits like for you? And did you acclimate yourself really well to them?
I think the biggest thing is just trying to sell myself, letting them know that, I will take care of the young people. I will make sure they kind of get to the next level. That was my biggest thing, just making sure I was going to do the things that I need to do to help them out to get to the next level. And academics, football, whatever I needed to do to kind of to assure that I was going to take care of the young people. And like I said, once you get to a situation where you have scholarships and everything's going to be free 99, it's a lot better than when you have meal saps and you start talking about loans and different things like that.
What was the when you got to the Division I level, what was the first time your heart was broken? When a kid, you thought, oh man, this kid's awesome and we got a chance, and then he had to call you up. I hope he called you up anyway and told you he was going somewhere else. Do you remember that first one?
Yeah, actually, I was at Tulane. I was recruiting a tight end from Jesuit High School. He only had Tulane and Navy at the time. And in the state championships in New Orleans, the high school coaches could go, and we all had the college coaches would have suites upstairs, and we would watch the games. And old Frank Wilson just called me and said, "Hey, Dave, listen, man, I really like that tight end from Jesuit." I said, "No way you're going." And he flipped to LSU. I think he's still playing in the pros, but and I thought I had him. I said, I can definitely flip him from Navy. I said he's at home, but it didn't happen. And he went on to have a really successful career at LSU, and that was a part of it, though. You're not going to get them all.
Do you get used to it, though? Do you get used to having? Maybe it's not heartbreak anymore. It's just like a heart bruise. But do you get used to being told no when you really think you've got a kid? How do you ever get over that?
Yeah, you get over. It's a part of it. You're not going to get them all. You understand it's a part of it. And the biggest thing you understand, you're not drafting them. They're drafting you. So once you kind of understand that part of it, it's not the NFL draft. They're actually drafting you at the end of the day. So, you just have to learn how to move on and have other kids in place and ready to go.
Coach, like 15 years ago, when it came to recruiting, it seemed like the in-home visit was such a big deal. At Florida State, when you found out that Bobby Bowden was visiting a certain recruit, it was curtains. It was like, all right, man, that kid is probably going to end up at Florida State. It seemed to be such a big deal. What has changed? Is it not a big deal anymore? Is it camps? Relationships are still a big deal, but what has sort of happened that maybe has kind of changed things up to where the in-home visit's not as big of a deal any longer?
Well, I guess 15 years ago, you were only talking about maybe juniors and definitely talking about seniors. But right now, you're talking about kids in the 9th grade that you start recruiting for 4 years now. And that's, you're trying to hang on to kids who say, okay, I'm committed to you, coach, and it's your 2024 kid. So you have to maintain that relationship for a very long time. That's the biggest thing. You have to get on the kids so early now, and the families and the 7-on-7s. It's a lot of things that's going on right now. You have to, kind of form so many relationships with so many different people. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just not the high school coach and the parents anymore. It's a number of people that you have to kind of go through to kind of get to certain kids, not all kids, but certain kids. So
you're the recruiting coordinator, obviously, for one of the bigger programs in the country. How many names are in your phone?
I can't.
Is it 500? Is it 1,000?
It's easily 2,000. I
was going to say, because it's not just the kids you recruit now; it's all the players and friends that you've built up over a lifetime of doing this.
Yeah, and when you go to different universities and you have to change your phone over, you're trying to change your numbers. It takes hours, and sometimes it takes days to kind of get everything transferred back over, and they don't transfer everything. That's the headache.
Here's what I think the biggest problem I would have with that many names is, say I talked to Joe Smith and I think we had a really good visit, and I'm meaning to text Coach Norvell, and I want to say, man, we got him. I think we got him. I think we landed him. But I would accidentally send it to Joe Smith. That would be my problem with texting, is I would send the wrong text to the wrong person. Have you ever had anything like that happen where you've accidentally sent a text to the kid when you were trying to text his coach or your coach?
No. I really take my time.
Really
take my time when I'm doing that, when I'm texting and doing different things. I'm really looking at it. And sometimes I kind of put different nicknames in, because you have some kids with the same names. So you have to kind of put schools and different things so it can kind of give you a reminder exactly who you're talking to, especially with somebody a little older that you talked to a few years ago.
When it comes to the machinations of how you guys recruit, what is the machination in place for when you offer a kid? Is it I assume Norvell's a tiebreaker, but is it a position coach and his recruiter? They both say, yes, we should take this guy. Or not everybody agrees 100% all the time on whether a kid should be offered a scholarship. So how does that go in the room where you guys decide, okay, he is going to get an offer?
Well, everybody entitled to their own opinion. But at the end of the day, Coach Norvell says, what we're going to do at the end of it, who we're going to take, if we're going to go on this kid. And we all have our own opinions about why we think we should take this kid. But at the end of the day, it's up to it's his decision. And sometimes we'll sit and he likes us to fight over a kid. He likes us to go back and forth. Why we want this kid, why we think this kid would be a good fit for us. And he admits sometimes that, well, this is why I do like him or I don't like him. So, but at the end of the day, it's his decision.
Is it kind of like a courtroom, though, where there's a prosecutor and a defendant and you're making arguments and he's the judge? Does it work out like that sometimes?
Yes.
Okay.
He's definitely the judge.
Right.
Coach, I did want to ask you at least one question kind of about the offseason and your guys. Just, people have been asking about Corey Wren. Joe Ja'Kai Douglas is a guy that Coach Norvell mentioned. Did Coach Dugans come to you and arm wrestle you for those guys? And how are they looking, and how's your unit been doing this offseason?
Well, that's been going really good. And actually, with Ja'Kai, he's been doing so much. He does both. He does a really good job with Coach Dude. I thought Coach Dude did a really good job of kind of picking up that talent, iron Ja'Kai really early on in the process. Him and Ja'Kai have a really good relationship. I kind of just stole him once I got here a little bit because I was kind of short-handed in the running back room. But we kind of go back and forth with both guys, and I think Corey's doing a really good job. He's up to 190 pounds, really looking good this spring, maintaining his speed. So they'll be going back and forth from room to room. And I just think Coach Dugan, he understands what it takes to win here. He definitely understands that. So I'm just kind of following his lead.
And I wanted to ask you, it wasn't a great season last year. It wasn't a great year for any of us. It just wasn't. And the 3-6 season wasn't the way you guys wanted to start. I guess I wanted, because you've been around this sport really your whole life, certainly the last 30 years you've been coaching and playing. What makes you believe in Mike Norvell? What makes you believe that he is the guy that will help turn this thing around, obviously with you guys? Because you're speaking to a bunch of Florida State fans right now listening to this. What makes you a believer in Mike Norvell and turning this thing around?
Well, I think the biggest thing is I've been knowing Coach Norvell since 2009. He understands what it takes. His biggest thing is it's a process. And he's on our kids all the time about the process. There's no shortcuts to this. It's all about hard work. And I think the group that we have now, they believe in that. They're embracing the hard work. That's what we wanted them to do. And he never panics. That's the biggest thing about him. He never panics. Although he's really emotional, he's really into the game, he's really into coaching, he's really into practice. But he's always under control. And he understands exactly what he wants, how he wants it done. And he's focused. So I just think at the end of the day, I know what's going to happen here. Everybody's on board. We believe exactly what's going to happen, but we understand it's a process. This is not, wasn't an easy fix. And, we're kind of glad about what's going to happen this year and what's coming up this spring. So we're just trying to find every day to get better.
I know you're a competitor. I know you love to win, but did you ever feel bad for the 14-year-olds trying to tackle Fournette? Like a little bit like, oh, man, this isn't nice. Their parents are in the stands.
I'm telling you, when early on we would toss him the ball, I would run a toss sweep and never block the corner. And some people would say, well, I said that corner is 140 pounds. At some point, he's going to make a business decision. Yeah. He's not going to keep tackling them.
Yeah, he's going to slip.
It wasn't the kid's fault. It's not the kid's fault. The kid probably wasn't going to play D1 football. He's probably working somewhere, having a good life at this point, but I know he wasn't going to keep tackling him. So it was my job to make sure I put Leonard Fournette in a good situation.
And you coach Honey Badger too, right?
Well, I don't know how much coaching I did. I always said I didn't mess it up. He had a really good coach in Dale Fran Lee, my defensive coordinator, who had been coaching him 2 years before I got there. He's actually the defensive back coach at Southeastern. But when I got there, Tyron Matthews was a senior, and Leonard Fournette was in the 8th grade. I kind of hit the jackpot when I got there.
I was going to say, good luck, man. Good job.
That's running backs coach and recruiting coordinator of your Florida State Seminoles, David Johnson. Coach, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.